Hello, everyone. Welcome to Marvelous Movie Mondays. I'm on the old set. It's still Thanksgiving weekend here when we're recording this. Kelsey, how are you doing?
I'm doing good, Dill. How are you?
I'm good. We don't have news this week, but the big news is that the Spider-Man tickets went on sale. We got them. We're ready to go. Just counting down the
It's
days to
Spider Monday.
Spider Monday. That's right. Today is Spider Monday, Cyber Monday, Spider Monday. Hope you're all getting your great Amazon deals and any other websites you shop on. I feel like Black Friday and Cyber Monday have just kind of conjoined into one at this point. It's just like its own thing because you can get anything Black Friday online now. It's like,
Yeah,
yeah, it kind of takes away
that's
the
very
magic
true.
of getting trampled in a Walmart on a Friday at 1 a.m. You know what I mean? Did you
The
Black
fresh
Friday shop this year?
experience. Absolutely not. I never. I never. Honestly, there's not people have been asking me that question, like, all weekend, and I'm like, I there's nothing on my radar that I wanted,
Right.
and
Um. Yeah.
anything I
No,
need, I'll
me
just
neither.
get today.
Yeah, it's like everything I want, I usually like, my parents want to know what do you want for Christmas. I tell them and they get it. So it's like, and then when I Christmas shop, I'm such a procrastinator. I don't go Christmas shopping until December 22nd or 23rd. So it's like, I don't need to worry right now. Like
That's
Black
not
Friday
smart, Dill.
means nothing to me. Well, I mean, sometimes I'll have to have the excuse of going earlier, if it's like a Secret Santa or something. But pandemic, I haven't done one of those in a few years, so yeah, I've not
Right.
shopped in a long time.
That's
Except I did
true.
buy those tickets, so that was one thing that I participated with Cyber Monday. But
Amazing.
the big holiday coming up is Christmas, and we're here to talk about a new Christmas series, which is also a Hawkeye series.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, so we got the first two episodes. We will be spoiling it because if you're listening to this, you've probably seen it. If you haven't, like, why are you listening to us? But yeah, we're gonna go through. Kelsey's gonna like give us a brief synopsis of the episode, maybe both episodes at once. I don't know what she has planned, but we're just gonna kind of go through, talk about things we like, didn't like, go kind of scene by scene or at least chunk by chunk, and then we'll talk about some
Yeah.
Easter eggs. So, Kels, do you want to just get into it? Do you want to like talk about our overall just first opinions or thoughts, or do you want to just kind of dive in?
Yeah, tell me your first thoughts, Dill. I'm really enjoying Hawkeye so far, I gotta say.
I I'm not as
Oh.
hooked. No, no, no. Here's the thing. I like it, but I'm not. I'm not leaving this first two episodes going like, oh my god, like I was for WandaVision, like I
Sure.
kind of was for Falcon Winter Soldier, like I definitely was for Loki. Like I feel like this show feels the most like MCU, and I feel like the stuff they're adding to it is definitely like the stuff that I like. Like you got a golden retriever, you got Christmas, you got a musical. Like they're definitely catering it to me. You've got a hard of hearing superhero now. You've got Haley Steinfeld, who's the most beautiful human on the planet. Like it's very much speaking to me.
Yeah,
But like if you get rid of all that, it just kind of seems a little samey. But
sure.
I do like what they're setting up. I'm definitely intrigued. I'm definitely excited to watch more. And I do think this, even more so than Black Widow, is falling into the supporting character is far more interesting than the lead character right now. So I'm hoping I like a little bit more of Clint as we go along, but I'm like all in on Kate. But like Clint,
Mhm.
I'm still like, yeah, it's Clint. And I think that's my biggest issue right now because Black Widow was very much like Yelena stole the show, and like
Yeah.
Natasha was there and she was important, but like she didn't really get stuff to shine until like the very end. So I'm hoping it gets better as it goes along. But I did like it. Probably not as much as you
Yeah.
did, but I did like it. So I think it's a good start.
I definitely think with every project Marvel does, you kinda have to get into the mindset of that, like, yes, this is, like, going to be about a superhero, so there's going to be, those action sequences, there's going to be
Mhm.
chase sequences, it's gonna be formulaic in that sense. But honestly, Dill, I think you bring up a really interesting point because I feel like at this point, like, we're getting into, like, the nitty-gritty of phase 4 now, and I feel like there's just 2 types of fans happening right now in the fan
Yeah.
base. And it's the fans that are like walking away from things like this, like things like Hawkeye and even Black Widow a little bit, feeling a little disappointed because they're like, oh, that just feels like same old Marvel.
Yeah.
And then you have fans walking away from things like the Eternals, from I don't know,
Loki. Yeah.
Loki, maybe,
Mhm.
like being like, this is so different. Like, I don't get it. Like, what's going on with like all this like symbolism and like metaphors
Mhm.
and
Yeah.
everything. And it's just like they're never gonna be able to please both
Right.
parties, I feel. And I
Mhm.
definitely think wanna I definitely believe that I'm more in the camp of kind of walking away feeling
Yeah.
disappointed that it's, like, too similar because I think we are ready to branch
Mhm.
out and explore different types of
Mhm.
storytelling, but
I think especially also with the TV series format, you have so much more space and room and time to branch out and do those different things. That's why WandaVision was so interesting to me, and it's still my favorite series because every
Mhm,
episode was its own thing, and then it finally comes together at the end. But you had the time to like, play with the premise, and like I feel like in the movies it makes a little more sense to kind of stay a little formulaic because you only have 2 hours, 2.5 hours to tell a story. But here it's like
sure.
you got so many episodes, and here it's only 6 episodes, which six, it's really just like a 3.5 hour movie if you put it all together, which is not much longer than Endgame, but like it is a series, so I feel like there could be a little bit more playfulness in like just how it's presented. But I mean, I get it. Marvel has a fan base, and until Eternals came out, everything they did was rated positively by the mass critics. So obviously they're doing something right, and obviously if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Mhm.
But I'm one of those people who's like, break it, fix it again, break it some more. Like let's play
Yeah,
around.
exactly. I agree.
But yeah, I mean, I did like it though, and I think it's mostly due to I just love the new character of Kate Bishop so much, and I love her, and I just love her energy. I think she is the breakout of the series already, and we're gonna get another breakout character that we just saw at the end of the second episode. So like, I'm excited for these new characters that are supposed to be like Phase Four now, like introducing this new phase of like the main characters of Phase Four. So it'll
Mhm.
be interesting. Yeah.
At the very least, I'm entertained,
Yeah,
you
always.
know?
I mean, yeah, I've never been bored by anything in Phase 4 yet. Maybe a few episodes of What If, I've just been like, "Eh," but, like, I don't think I've been bored yet.
Yeah.
And the stuff that people are calling boring, like Eternals and Loki, I'm like, I'm digging. So, so
Yeah,
maybe some people
seriously.
find things boring that we don't, but that's why we're here to discuss our opinion and, change people's
I
minds,
don't
or
understand
we're not.
how Eternals got the reviews it got. It was so beautiful. But
I'm really perplexed. I honestly am.
anyway, but we're not here to talk about Eternals. We're here to talk about Hawkeye. And so let's just jump into
Yeah.
episode 1, I feel.
Mhm.
So episode 1 was titled Never Meet Your Heroes, and here's my synopsis for it. It's Christmas in New York, and Kate Bishop is home for the holidays when she finds herself at an underground auction where her mother's fiance is participating in. She takes over the Ronin identity, not realizing by doing that she was putting a target on her back.
Oh, I like that wordplay too. Yeah,
Did you?
target,
I did
archery.
that
I
just
got
for
you. I
you.
got you. I got you.
I knew
Um,
you'd like it too.
yeah, I'm trying not to laugh too loud because new setup. I told Kelsey before we started, my laptop is in surgery in like Omaha or some shit, like some place I've never been to, and I probably will never be to. At some factory. Apple just took my laptop and is performing surgery on it. So I'm on a different laptop. I've got a different mic setup, so like I'm talking into this little mic, so I don't want to talk too loud or laugh too loud or like hit it by accident. But if it's wonky audio wise, I apologize. But just pretend I laughed out loud very loudly. So.
Thank you, Dill. Yeah, I've been there. My
Mhm.
laptop has gone to surgery
Yeah,
many
it's
a
terrible.
times.
We
Uh,
we feel for them.
my thoughts and prayers are with your computer right now.
Yes.
So we open with a cold open. We open to New York City, 2012, and if you know the Marvel universe, you know what was going on in New York City during 2012, and we know that even though it's peaceful at the moment, the Battle of New York should be taking place at any moment now. So we open up on this family. The husband and wife are seemingly arguing about money problems. They have a daughter who seems to have a better relationship with her father than she does her mother. Then the attack on New York happens. We see this, like, I know it was all edited in CGI, but this beautiful shot of Stark Tower in the distance
Yeah.
after one of their walls gets blown off. I thought that was a really cool shot. And what do we see not too far away? But Clint Barton himself, Hawkeye, doing his iconic fall back from the building, shoot
Yeah.
the arrow, and
The
dive into the windows beneath him
yeah,
shot
the
from
shot the shot
Avengers.
that they try to pigigonhole into every moment they can possibly do. Yeah, that
Yeah,
one.
yeah, that
'Cause
you can't miss it at this
it's his
point.
only real, like, iconic moment, I feel like. I really feel like Hawkeye gets the boot when it comes to, like, just iconic shots of like, I can't think of it. Oh, maybe the Ronin one too, of him, like, with the sword, but, like,
Yeah, he,
there
like,
really aren't
clinks.
you really have to savor when you get a really good, like, Hawkeye shot, so.
Yeah, exactly. So then, I mean, I saw it coming the moment, uh she seemingly has this great relationship with her father. We know where this is going in the Marvel universe. So unfortunately, the dad does die in the attack on New York. We cut to a shot of their funeral, and her mom says, I need to be the one to protect you. I'll give you anything you need. And the
Mhm.
little girl, who obviously grows up to be Kate Bishop, says, I'm gonna need a bow and arrow. And
Yeah,
we know
love that.
exactly where we're going with this.
Yeah, I have a question. Did you realize who was playing the dad?
I sure did. I wrote
Yeah,
it down.
yeah,
Brian
Delany.
D.R.C. James.
That's right, Broadway vet. For people who aren't theater people, I mean, you probably have seen him in like stuff like the movie Spotlight he was in, but like he is a very seasoned Broadway actor. He was the lead in Titanic. He was obviously Shrek in Shrek the Musical. So he was the
Mhm.
lead of Something Rotten. Like he is a Broadway vet that I love to see. And when I saw him, I was very excited. And then a minute later, boom, he's gone. And I'm like, oh
Yeah.
come on. And he's still in the credits though, so I'm wondering,
If
is
there's
it
gonna be
yeah.
flashbacks.
Or if it was just like you're in the credits for episode 1 and now you're no more, or if there's gonna be flashbacks, or is he secretly going to be alive this whole time? I mean, I might have a theory about that, but I don't know if Kelsey can hear me right now, but I might have a theory. Maybe he is alive somewhere because the rule is if you don't see a dead body, is that person
Mm,
actually gone? We saw his funeral, but I've got my theories on who the real villain is here, and I don't know if you do, but we'll get there when we get there. Um,
interesting,
but
okay.
but I have a theory, so we'll save it to the end because we like
I
our
can't
theories at
wait
the end. But
to hear some theory
yeah,
talk. Can I
and
just say, Jill, I'm so excited to talk about a TV show again. I feel like
yeah,
we were doing this right at the beginning of our podcast. This is what we started our podcast doing. We just went from TV show to TV show to TV show that I was like, huh, I feel kind of rusty taking these notes right now. I'm
I
not
know.
really sure
Yeah, because
what to
what if
point out.
also was like, they were all their own kind of thing, so like it wasn't like we could predict what was gonna happen next until the very, very end, but then by
Yeah.
the time the very end happened, it ended, so we were like, "Oh, they are all coming together." Well, we can't predict it because it's happened. But yeah, this is exciting to be back talking about episodic telly. Yeah,
Super exciting.
yeah,
So then we get into the intro, the credits play, which I really liked the
yeah.
artistic, like
David
the visuals
yeah,
of the
David
credits.
David Aja was the, artist. I wrote his name down because it was,
Mm,
beautiful, just beautifully done
yeah.
opening and closing credits. It's a very, very striking, credit sequence, yeah.
I would also like to say that I was also very pleasantly surprised to see Vera Faminga
Yeah,
Famanga?
Farmiga, yeah.
Farmiga, sorry.
Sounds like a
Uh,
pizza place, like
but she's
Famiglia.
a wonderful actress, and,
Yeah,
I was
yeah.
great
Yeah, I mean,
casting all
yeah,
around.
she's been in so much. I mean, I mean, most people know her from The Conjuring, but, she's been in so
Mhm.
many other little things here and there too that, most recently, the Sopranos movie, she played Livia Soprano, and she got the accent spot on, because
Oh,
she was playing a
awesome.
younger version of the actual character from the show. So, like, she's someone I'm always excited to see, and, we'll talk about her a little bit later because she's definitely a big part of the show.
So we have our first scene after the credits play, and we're at this church bell tower looking building, which we can talk about later with Easter eggs because I did write it
You
down.
know the name of it?
Um,
I mean, we could say it now. Do you wanna?
okay, well, it's Stain Tower,
Stain Tower, which,
named
probably Obadiah
after
Stane, yeah,
Obadiah,
yeah,
obviously. So then we see a very athletic Kate Bishop scale the wall of this stained tower so that she can get a clear shot of the clock bell tower. Her friends have dared her to shoot an arrow to make the bell ring, and she successfully does it. But in the process of doing it, the bell tower is very old. It cannot handle the ringing and it
yeah.
crumbles right before her very eyes. Uh, yeah, not her best moment.
But, like, a great intro of, like, who this new Kate is, though. Like, it
Yeah.
very much like, she's super skilled at what she does, but she is a little reckless and a little careless, and that is
Mhm.
exactly all you need to know in a little package and button, and I feel like now, like, I'm on board, I know who she is, and the rest of the show, like, I have a very clear idea of who she is, just from that one scene, which is great.
Yeah, 100%. So then we cut to our second scene, which is Rogers the Musical. So I wrote
Oh, boy.
down some of the, little taglines, people, the creators came up with for this like fake Rogers the musical. So it's an all-American story for an all-American hero is the main tagline, I'm assuming.
Oh, boy.
And then I see other signs that say a timeless story of a timeless hero, a super powered sensation and captures the heart of the hero, and that's all the signs that I could
Wow.
see. Um it's a musical adaptation of the Battle of New York. So we see what could be the act 1 closer, maybe even the opener. They do say that they left halfway through, so I'm gonna
Yeah.
say that it was the big finale before intermission.
Yeah.
Um,
Because the
we
other
see
2 kids come out, like, 5 minutes after him and the daughter,
Yeah.
which makes me think, like, intermission happened, everyone's in the lobby getting snacks, and they snuck out, you know?
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
my
yeah.
goal, but
So we see this musical number happening where we see actors playing Captain America, Tony Stark, Black Widow, Thor, Hulk, and we even have an Ant-Man. And obviously a Hawkeye as well is
yeah,
up
yeah.
there on stage. And we see this musical number, which I'm assuming is called I Could Do This All Day.
Yeah, and I'll be honest, it is I ate this up. Like, I loved this because it's exactly the people who don't experience musical theater or movie musicals too often, this is their idea of what musical theater is. It's this super schlocky, over the top, crazy
Mm,
musical number where everyone's smiling and put on a happy face, and that's, like, kind of what musical theater is, but, like,
yeah.
obviously, those who see it a lot are more accustomed to it, but, like, uh, the reaction was perfect. And like I know a lot of people have been like, "Oh, this episode's so anti-musical theater, anti-performer, Broadway performer," because like Clint is making faces and like all like turned off by it. But like, if you're an outsider, like Broadway is weird. It is musical theater is
Yeah.
weird to an outsider. So like, I totally dug that. The composers of the song are Mark Shaman and Scott Whitman, who wrote Hairspray and Smash. So like, they've got the
Mm,
credits. They are very skilled composers. And did you recognize who the first person singing was? Did you realize who it was?
no.
It was Adam Pascal, the original Roger and Rent. I don't know if he
Oh.
was supposed to be Coulson or whatever, but he was the one who like opened that solo, and there were other Broadway performers in there, but he's the biggest one. So like
Oh, no
after seeing
way.
Brian Darcy James die, I was like, oh okay, so Adam Pascal's here. So I was like, oh good, Broadway community's represented, and then we don't see them again either. So, but yeah, that was a very very big treat. I mean, I love that
Oh, that was
song. Like
fun.
it was a perfect amount of cheese, and I've just been waiting for them to do something like that, and I'm very excited they did.
Well, I also just think that for Hawkeye, he's not necessarily just being anti like musical theater. I just think
Right.
that it was a very formative and serious day for
Yeah.
him
It's
to
like
be
PTSD.
reliving and for
Yeah.
like it to be so sensationalized and like
Hmm.
romanticized
Yeah.
almost.
Yeah.
Plus like seeing someone portray Natasha after everything that they
Right.
went through together in space, like, I would
Yeah.
not be able to sit through a musical
No.
adaptation of my life and
No.
have all the actors are going around singing and dancing, smiling.
Mhm.
It's like, no, that's not what that day
No.
was at
No.
all.
Yeah. It'd
Like,
be like someone
people died.
making it's like at the end of The Producers when they do Springtime for Hitler, and it's, like, supposed to be a joke, like, parody, they're supposed to be putting on the worst Broadway musical, but, like, if you're an actual Holocaust survivor sitting through a show called Springtime for Hitler, you're
Mm,
probably not gonna think it's all that funny, even if it's supposed to be a
yeah.
farcical parody thing. I think it's more of, like, the after the show when the kid's like, "Why does everyone just singing and dancing?" And he's like, "I don't know." It's like,
Mm.
that's, like, a normal reaction if you've
That's
never,
a
like,
normal reaction for
seen it,
sure.
you know? So I get it, but, you know, I get the haters too who are just like, Let theater alone," like, whatever.
So we get the first taste of the fact that Hawkeye is now canonically hard of hearing because he has turned his
Yeah,
hearing aid off so he doesn't have to hear the show. He goes to the bathroom where I did note that someone did graffiti on the urinal. Thanos was right, which is definitely, just a
poking fun at the fans who are, like, trying to, like, excuse Thanos' actions because there are
yeah.
truthers out there are Thanos truthers out there, and, like,
And I'm
you know.
sure in the Marvel universe, there's
Oh, yeah,
probably people that are like, "No, why did you
right.
bring everyone back?"
Yeah.
Ugh, that would be so hard to deal with.
I have one more question while we're on the topic of the musical. Do you
Yeah.
think that the Ant-Man thing was just to be, like, adding Avengers, or do you think that was because Ant-Man is technically, since they go back in time in Endgame, Ant-Man was there, do you think that has anything to do with it?
I honestly did write that down. I said Ant-Man is in the musical, but he was not there for the Battle of New York.
Right.
I don't know. I was like, maybe is it because like he's one of the only like adults left,
Maybe, I
kind
don't
of?
know.
'Cause I feel like it's like him, Hawkeye, like Bruce, and then like everyone else is like,
In
dead
space.
or not around.
Like,
So I'm
Thor is
like,
off with the Guardians, yeah.
yeah, so it's like
Wanda's doing her WandaVision stuff, yeah. I don't know.
so I don't know. Or maybe was it just so we could see how painfully inaccurate like people were depicting
That's
the
a good
day.
point too.
that
Yeah.
they were just like, "Oh, you know what? Like, let's just like write in Ant-Man. He was there, right? Did anyone
I
see him? No,
I
you couldn't have.
honestly,
He was
yeah,
microscopic. Let's
I
write him
honestly
in."
think that's probably the correct goal or what they were trying to go for. Yeah. No, that's a good
Maybe
point. Yeah.
my theory.
Yeah. There you go.
So then Clinton and his daughter Lila have a moment recognizing the fact that, like, yeah, this is probably tough for him to
Yeah.
be experiencing something that showcases Nat, being that she is gone. Um, we cut to Kate getting home from she just got off a train seemingly from Grand Central Station.
Hmm.
And she goes to her mom's house. We got a taste in the beginning that they were pretty wealthy, living in a
Yeah.
penthouse, this beautiful New York City apartment, it looks like. But her mom does say that she's going to a charity auction. She's getting all glammed up, and she is very unhappy with Kate about the fact that she does have to pay to rebuild this clock bell tower that she broke. And she
Yeah.
says something really interesting to Kate, and she says, rich people think that they're invincible, and young people think that that they're invincible, and you've always been both, and you're not. And I just think that I kind of like this, like, new take on a character that does come from an upper class, because I feel like, I mean, obviously, like, Tony was a playboy billionaire genius, like,
Yeah.
whatever. But I kind of like how we're looking through the lens of, like, a girl who has probably felt invincible all her life, because
Yeah.
any mistake she's ever made, mommy and daddy can just clean up with, like, the wave of their wallet.
True.
And I kind of like that this story might be heading in a direction where she finds out, like, oh, not everything can be solved with money. And also, like, I've been in such a position of privilege all my
Yeah.
life, and I hope that that's kind of the arc that Kate's character takes,
Yeah.
because I feel like that would be an important realization to have,
For
an
sure. Yeah.
important character discovery to have in the Marvel universe. So I'm
Yeah.
excited, to say the least. The big thing that she finds out during the scene is that her mom has acquired this collection of swords. She's seeing them around her house. Also, this fella, Jack, that her mom has been hanging out with. I mean, come on, Dill. They have him in a villainous mustache. You can't tell me that this guy isn't the main guy. It's too obvious, right? His
I think it
mustache
is.
is literally like a handle. All he needs is a top hat and a cane, and he'll be like,
I think
"Ha
it
ha
is too
ha!
obvious.
I've stole
I
the jewel."
I think it is too obvious, which is why when I get to my theory at the end, you'll know that I don't think he's the mastermind because it's too obvious. So we'll talk. We'll talk because I'm on the wavelength of Jack's just a weird dude, and like
Yeah,
it's in this world being like that kind of weird and sketchy is like always gonna get you pointed as the villain just because like he's very much comes across as a villain. It's very
yeah.
blatant, but I have
He
my theories.
definitely feels like his intentions with Kate's mother, her name is Eleanor, Vera Farmiga.
Yeah.
His intentions with her might not all be good, because it seems like he's just trying to, mooch off of her money, get some of that inheritance,
Hmm.
all that
Yeah. No,
wealthy people problem
he's
stuff.
he's definitely not like a hero, but like
Mhm.
I do think the villain in him is more of the yeah, like I'm here to mooch off of her, to like steal this sword, to be greedy because I'm just like a piece of shit, rather
Yeah.
than like I'm the one who's like sending the guys in to get the watch and sending people to go hunt down Ronin, that kind of thing. I think that might be someone. I mean, we know who's organizing the Ronin thing, obviously, because we find out at the end of episode 2. But I mean, just like
Mm.
some of the other stuff that's going on, if there is like a villain that is yet to emerge, I don't know if it's him because
Yeah,
he's too
for
obvious.
sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's exactly my thoughts exactly. So then we cut to scene 4, which is just Clint out to eat with his kids. What the most important things that we learned during this scene is that it is 6 days until Christmas. So we have a timeline now, and that the restaurant so kindly pays for their meal because the waiter thanks him for saving the city. And we kind of see this conflicted look on his face. He
Yeah.
doesn't really know how to take that, how to handle the admiration that he's receiving around this aspect of his life.
Good point. It
Um,
reminds me of Falcon and the Winter Soldier when Sam is like talking about the financial stuff with his sister and the financial agent, and it's
mm,
like that moment of like where does the line draw in terms of celebrity slash regular person, and like is it better to be on one end or the other? And like, what is the desire in the end to be this person that everyone wants to take a picture with? We'll get to it later when he's walking through Times Square and someone says, "Oh, can I get a picture?" It's a superhero, and then he runs right past him. Like, is that a
Mhm.
moment of like, "Oh, thank God, now people are starting to forget who I am," or is it like a jealous, like, "Oh, wait, I should be the hero that everyone wants to take
Mm.
pictures with." It's an interesting
Yeah.
balance that I don't think he's yet to figure out where his place is yet because he's never been the most famous Avenger. Kate Bishop is probably the only person in planet Earth whose favorite Avenger is Hawkeye. But like, that's a big thing for him because he is still part of that team. And
Yeah.
what comes with that is very important. And I like how they're exploring that. I think that's very interesting, even if I do still find the Kate stuff more interesting than what he's going on. But
Yeah, totally.
yeah.
So then we're at the charity auction where Kate finds out from a very sketchy man named Armand that her mother is not only just dating this Jack person, they are engaged. And she finds that out from someone who we know as a complete stranger. Um, and that yeah, and then so then we cut to Armand and Kate's mom, Eleanor, exchanging some words. Oh, Kate goes out to get some air. She
Hmm.
meets the dog, the
Yes.
one-eyed dog, the
Well,
golden
pizza dog.
retriever, who
Pizza
is
dog.
slowly but surely going to become my favorite character in this show, and if anything happens to this dog, I will just be distraught.
I was already getting upset about the winces when he was getting punched or
Oh,
yeah.
when he's
It
getting, like, kicked,
'Cause
I couldn't.
it's a he, right? The dog is
I
a
don't
he.
know. I don't know
I
the
think it's
dog.
a he, but it is played by a she because I looked up the actress who plays the pizza dog.
Oh,
I actually had to find her name because I didn't write it down, but she's a very sweet dog. She does have 2 eyes. It was a CGI thing, to give her
oh.
1 eye, but, like, it's kinda badass, I think, like, good for her.
Oh, they could have given it to a dog with one eye. I guess
Yeah, I don't
I
know
was
how many
honestly thinking about the
dogs with 1
logistics
eye
of
are in
that.
the
I'm like, do they
business of
have
yeah.
yeah, I'm like, do they have, like, an arsenal of dogs that, like, have, like, one eye or one with
Uh
3 legs or
Jolt. Her name is Jolt. She has 2 eyes, just
Jolt?
a little CG work there. Yep.
Aw, well, Jolt, amazing work. You gave
Amazing
it
work.
your all, and it was incredible.
Yeah.
So Kate goes out to get some air. She, meets the dog. When she comes back, Armand and her mom seem oh my god, Armand and her mom seem to be fighting about
Her mom
something
our
often.
mom.
I'm like, "Oh my gosh, that sounded way
Uh,
too similar." It sounded like I said, like, whatever.
yeah, you combine the 2, it's fine.
So then Kate decides to follow Armand to wherever he's off to. She follows him down into a wine cellar where an underground auction is taking place. And the first thing that gets auctioned off is a skull of an elephant. Actually, it's not an elephant at all. It's like a dinosaur skull, isn't it?
Oh, I don't know. I didn't even realize that.
I think it was like fully like a I don't know what this one's called. It has like a big thing, like a big circle.
Like a skull?
Ah, no. I don't know. It was a dinosaur skull. And then the bidding starts at $2,000,000. And I'm like, this upsets me because how can people just be so rich that they are starting the bidding at $2,000,000 and it's something that you don't even need? And I'm like, this is just wealth I will just never know. I hope I never know because that
Yeah.
just seems like too much responsibility.
Right, and, like,
Uh,
your 2,000,000 should go toward charity, not a fucking skull, but
yeah,
that's just my 2 cents.
100%.
Maybe if I ever get, Elon Musk rich, which will never happen, but, this podcast, if you guys like it, subscribe, get us there. But, like, I think, if I ever get that rich, like, I would not just throw 2,000,000 at a fucking skull. I'd be like, I'm
Yeah,
gonna
no.
throw them at the children who are still alive in these third world countries that need it, not the fucking skulls of dead animals from
Yeah.
prehistoric years. I don't know, but different
So I
mindset.
love this scene a lot, Jill, just because this is where we really get a taste of like Kate's character, her
Mhm.
resourcefulness, her wittiness. Like
Yeah,
she's just so quick on her feet. She's like so cool because she has this great moments with the waiters.
with
Everyone thinks
Gary.
that
Yeah,
she's just another waiter in there,
yeah,
and they're like, "Who sent you?" And she's like, "Gary." And then Gary comes and is like, "Who told you to be here?" And she says, "Gary." And he's like, "Well, I'm Gary." And he goes, "What's your name?" And she's like, "Well, that's the problem, Gary. You don't know my name. You
yeah.
know what? This isn't
That
working out. Like, I quit." It's just
That
like
is
very
classic
quippy.
yeah, classic Haley Steinfeld too, like, that's just, like she does that so well, like, in
Yeah.
Bumblebee, in The Edge of 17, which is one of the best coming of age
Mhm.
movies ever, like, she
Mhm.
just She is so good, and I'm just gonna say it right now, one of our future Avengers movie clubs should be a Haley Steinfeld one because I think she is such a good actress, and I love to see her doing what she does best here, rather than her just trying to be what Marvel wants. It's like Marvel catering to her and what she is already, which I like.
I could definitely get behind that, but I will say I'm not watching Pitch Perfect 2
No,
or
no,
3.
no, 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 no. I
Good,
like those
glad we're on the
movies.
same
I
page.
like those movies, but, like, if we have to pick 3 movies of hers, it's gonna be probably the one she was nominated for an Oscar for, and then 2 other more prestige ones rather than, Pitch Perfect. But,
Thank
still a
you.
good movie. I still like the second one, probably more than the first.
Alright. I feel like you're in a very small community there,
I'm in a
but
little canoe, yeah.
to each his own. The next item up for auction is the Ronin sword and the outfit, and we know from the auctioneer that their identity has still a mystery from this day, so
Yep,
no one knows that it was Clint.
mhm,
Um, and then boom, the auction gets interrupted. We interrupt this program to introduce the tracksuit mafia who are desperately looking for a watch, they say. Um, and then Kate gets the Ronin outfit, puts it on,
mm.
and goes to work. And we have some wine bottle fight choreo, which
So
I
good.
seriously
Yeah,
enjoyed.
and
Thought it was so fun.
you have the callback of her stepping on the bottle and making it fly in the air like her mom did it at breakfast when she was little with the
Mm,
carrot. Like, I love
mhm.
those little moments, and
Yeah,
I think the fighting is the stuff that, like, while it is a little samey, like, I feel like this was a fun fight sequence. Like, I think this
yeah.
one of all the fight sequences in this episode was, like, or these 2 episodes was, like, the most entertaining, I think.
I have one issue with this show so far.
Ooh, okay.
And it is and I don't wanna attack some poor technician, but I think that the audio is a little off. Like,
Oh,
the
okay.
sound design is a little off because there's just one moment. Because I don't know, I just feel like like, the grunts and all that stuff is usually added in after the scene is shot, just, so
Yeah,
you
yeah,
because things get muffled, things get lost during filming.
yeah,
Um, and it just feels a little unnatural. Like usually you can't point out when a grunt has been like added in.
yeah.
And I feel like I'm able to do that more with this show. And it's
Mm,
bothering me a little bit. There was also
yeah,
this
no, I
one
know you
moment specifically where she was thrown up against the wall and the sound effect they added was as if all the bones in her back shattered rather
yeah.
than like a thud. And I was like, I feel like if she just broke a bunch of bones in her back, like, she would not be okay right now.
That's a good point because the first time I watched this was just on my own, but then the second time I watched it, I went to Zach and Rachel's, and they have like the surround
Mhm.
sound system where the bass is like amplified a little bit, and you could kind of the grunts were very prevalent. I was wondering if that was just the sound system, but I think it is something to do with just like let's throw so much grunts and the glasses
Yeah.
shattering and all this stuff. Yeah,
It's
no, I
just a
agree.
little distracting sometimes,
Yeah, yeah,
the sound design.
hmm
I'm so sorry because I know those people work so hard. They're the
yeah,
unsung
but
heroes of these kind of projects, but
they got the dog whimpering right. That's for sure because it made me cry. but
yeah, that's for damn sure. And then we realize that the assailants, the people that are attacking this auction, start to recognize Ronan. They know who this person is. This
hmm
is someone that they've had run-ins with them in the past. Um, so then the fright breaks out into the street where Kate,
call her
Kate
Haley.
is
We're on a first name basis here. Haley's actually
I'm
coming on the show in like probably 10 years when we finally have that fan base. But like, yeah,
oh
no,
my
Haley will be on the show. Yeah.
god, us doing this in 10 years. I hope we have a much better studio set up if we're still doing
Yeah,
this
no,
10
no.
years
If
down
we're
the
doing
line.
this on 10 years, we're doing it on daytime television. Like, forget Ellen, forget the Kelly Clarkson show. Like, it's gonna be a sit down every Monday morning, like on NBC or whatever channel wants to sponsor us. Probably Disney Channel, if anything.
Marvelous movie mornings.
There you go. I mean, it already is on the morning, even if it's a Monday. I mean, Marvelous
Yeah,
Movie
that's
Monday
true.
mornings. Ooh, might be onto something.
So Kate ends up on the news wearing the Ronin suit, which is how Hawkeye knows that it's back in existence. Someone has taken up the identity, God forbid, of this person. So then Kate heads to Armand's house where she breaks in and notes that there are butterscotch candies with his name on it.
Mm,
This comes important later. And notably, Armand, who I thought was going to be more prevalent in this series, is dead.
yeah.
dead as a doornail on the ground.
Yeah, I was definitely surprised by that, but like it was interesting because I thought at first I was like, oh, this is the bad guy, but then I was like, oh, he's not,
Mm,
or
plot
he's not the
twist.
main bad guy. Yeah,
So then our last moments of this episode are the tracksuit mafia finding Kate yet again, but no other than Hawkeye swoops in to save the day. And our
right.
episode ends with her saying, "You're Hawkeye." And he says, "Yeah. And who the hell are you?" And
Mm.
then the credits play out with, "It's the most wonderful time of the
It's
year."
funny because we're
And
doing the Jewish arms while we're singing a Christmas song.
yeah, I know. I
You
was
know,
doing kind of
doing the
traditional arms.
fiddler,
Well,
the
I try to
tradition.
like
Yeah,
do
no,
more
yeah. I
shoulders.
was doing a little more tradition.
To to which I noted in my notebook, I love Christmas.
Yeah.
I love that this show takes place during the holidays because it's just what I need to get me in the holiday season spirit, and I'm
Mhm.
ready.
That's what I was saying at the beginning. Like, I think the show without the Christmas and without the dog would kind of just be a little more same old. But I think because you add that Christmas layer, it just sets it apart enough to where it becomes kind of its own thing, which I like. I like how they're doing the Christmas stuff. I like also how this kind of gives him a deadline, which we'll get to in the next episode. But like how his family leaves, but he stays behind, and like the idea, it's almost like that planes, trains, and automobiles or Green Book thing, where it's like you have to get home by Christmas, and like you're almost kind of racing the clock. And I like how that's
Mm,
kind of like the stakes of this is not. I mean, there's obviously huge stakes. I mean, there's obviously villains in play, and the new villain that we met at the end of episode two, and maybe a
mhm,
villain that I am theorizing we might end up having too. But like the main, you know, uh, either conflict or the main objective, I think, is to get home for Christmas. And I like that as
mhm.
like this ticking time bomb or time clock, I guess, because there's no bomb at the end. It's a sweet bomb of sugar and hugs and kisses and love. But like that ticking time of like I gotta get home for Christmas, and I can't wait for that season finale when he's, there's an action sequence and he just gets home for Christmas. I know how it's gonna end, but I can't wait
Mhm,
for it. I don't know.
mhm.
It's very exciting. Or he's not gonna make it home for Christmas. We're all gonna be depressed. But I have a feeling it'll be the first. But who knows?
Honestly, Dale, I'm loving the storyline involving Ronan. I feel
Mhm.
like I should have seen that coming more than I did. I really
Yeah,
didn't know
yeah.
like what the main plot of this show was going to be. All I knew is that it was about Hawkeye,
Mhm,
mentoring this young woman. But I love how this like added layer of him grappling with the fact that he was Ronan to the fact that now he kind of has to destroy Ronan to make sure that it never like Ronan never exists ever again.
mhm.
Um yeah, I'm having a
Yeah,
good time.
yeah.
Having a good
Me
time.
too. Me too. Why don't we get to episode two? Because we'll dive more into like the Ronin stuff there. Do you have any Easter eggs
Sure.
for episode one before we go on?
I do have one Easter egg.
Yeah,
Well,
let me
I
know.
had 2, but we kinda touched upon this,
Steam Tower.
Stain
Yeah,
Tower
yeah.
a little bit.
Sorry about
It's
that.
just, uh, it was just a building dedicated to Obadiah Stane.
Yeah.
That's all I found on that. One of the auction items, I believe it was either the sword or the suit, had a numbers girl strikes again. She makes a return. So I had to look into these numbers. The auction number was 268, which people believe refers to the Avengers comics Avengers 268, which features Kang the Conqueror. So was this a nudge nudge
Oh.
wink wink at the villain that we saw in Loki? Stay tuned.
Yeah, the only other number I saw was her password. It was like Bishop 112012, which
Well, I
would
think
be.
that's in episode 2, no?
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, you're right. I'm sorry. But
I wrote that down, don't worry.
I was gonna ask you. I had no idea what the
Numbers girl is
significance.
on it.
I had no idea what the significance is, but I knew you would have it. So
I have the significance
we're
of
gonna
that
be we're
number
gonna
as
be
well.
waiting this whole episode two recap, waiting to find out what that number is, if there is an answer. If
Alright,
there's
so
not,
let's
you
get
might as well
into
tell
it.
us now. But no, we'll get there when we get there. Tell us about episode two, Kels.
Episode 2, Hide and Seek. Clint tries to find the Ronin suit and keep Kate out of trouble so he can get home to his family for Christmas.
Love it.
So we start off right where we left off, and Clint brings Kate to safety. Already, they have a very Peter Parker Tony esque relationship where
Yeah.
it's like, I'm the adult, I'm taking charge here. And she's like, I can also be helpful too. Some people have called me the world's greatest archer. And he's like, well, are you one of those people? And she's like, okay, I guess I'm just getting shot down
Wow.
immediately.
Yeah.
We go into a brief title sequence, and I found out that in scene 1, I didn't make this connection in the first episode, but I did later on that Jack is, Armand's nephew.
Yeah.
I didn't get that from episode 1. I'm
Gotcha.
sure if
Gotcha. Gotcha.
I
Hmm.
paid more attention, but I just wanna make sure if the audience didn't catch on to that either, that Armand is fully Jack's uncle, and that's why they have a relationship, and that's why they were being so, like, I guess, the
Salty.
animosity was
Yeah.
there during
Hmm.
the auction scene.
Interesting.
Uh, Unfortunately, the Tracksuit Mafia does find Kate's apartment. They throw Molotov cocktails through the window, and her apartment catches on fire. But don't worry because Kate, Clint, and the dog
Pizza
escape
dog.
the
Yeah.
flames.
I think right now the name is just Pizza Dog because I know what it is in the comics,
Is
but
that what
right
she
now
called him
Pizza
in the
Dog,
episode?
yeah, Pizza Dog, and then he was like, "Oh, is that his real name?" And she's like, "No, it's more like a title, like Earl of Sandwich."
Yes,
Which, by the
okay.
way, people who are not from New York, I don't know if there are Earl of Sandwiches other places, but go to New York and go to Earl of Sandwich because those sandwiches are fucking great.
I
Um,
mean, they better be.
yeah, I mean it's the Earl of Sandwich, but
It's the Earl
um,
sandwich.
have you ever had that or no?
No,
Yeah, there you go.
we'll have to go.
Yeah, but yeah, Pizza Dog, I think, is the name right now. I know what the name ends up being in the comics, but I won't say it now in case that's like a big reveal later. But
Cool.
yeah, Pizza Dog.
I honestly couldn't find much about the dog, so I'm
Yeah,
excited for you to
I'm
let me know.
very excited. That one shot, again, Hawkeye, his shots are limited, but when you get a nice, cool image of Hawkeye, like it burns in the brain. And I love the scene, the part where it goes through the window and he just kind of takes it with one hand, just throws it right back. I was
Yeah,
like, that is cool. Like
that was really cool.
where have you been? Honestly,
Yeah, it's honestly, I feel like it's like in Avengers 1, he's brainwashed by Loki, so we don't really
right.
get to see Clint in that
Hmm.
movie.
But we get
And
that great
then in
shot.
Avengers 2,
Hmm.
he's injured
Yeah,
and
I mean the
he
Pietro moment's the biggest one there, but that's more for Pietro than him.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. And then it's
Civil
like
War, he has a really nice moment. Is that the one where they're at his house, or is that Age of Ultron?
Age of Ultron is when
Yeah,
they're at the
yeah.
house.
I think that's like the most Clint I've seen that I've liked. Also, Endgame, they do a good job with him, I think. But
Civil War is when he's like his big moment is when he takes Wanda back, like, away from Vision,
right,
and
yeah,
he's like, "We gotta get out of here, kid."
yeah.
And then
Wow.
yeah, so we haven't seen much of him, but
Yeah,
it's
he like has one scene, like one like storyline in each movie,
yeah,
but it's always like the tertiary storyline. It's never like the first primary one. So
yeah.
yeah,
So, unfortunately, they do have to leave the Ronin suit behind because there's flames and sprinklers and the tracksuit mafia, so they got to get out of there.
yeah.
But they are able to take shelter in Kate's aunt's apartment, which is
How
very
convenient.
yeah, how
She just
convenient.
happened. I mean, it would make sense if she's out of town for Christmas, but like, how
Yeah,
convenient that you just happen to have another relative in the city that you just like can get into their apartment. So
yeah. So once Clint knows that Kate's safe, he goes back to the scene of the crime to get the Ronin suit. He sneaks into the building by dressing up as a fireman. He to no avail. He does not find the suit, but he does see something interesting. He sees a bumper sticker on the window of the fire truck which says NYC LARPers. And for those of you who are unfamiliar, LARP stands for live action role play.
yeah, and
Now, Jill, I have a very important question for
yeah,
you. Are we LARPers?
because we do musical theater.
Yes.
No, no, LARPers. In my mind, LARPers is like Dungeons
Is
and
that not
Dragons,
like
but like in person. Like, there's a difference, I think, between like doing a piece of theater where you an actor playing a role than like literally because there's a script to follow. I feel like LARPers is more like if you're like in an improv troupe,
improv?
that's a little closer. But even then, it's like it's a little different because LARPers, it's like yeah, I don't know how to describe it. I've never been
So, like,
LARPing. I've never
this
been a
is
LARPer. I've never known a LARPer. Maybe I have
never
if
known
you
a
know me.
LARPer.
But like I think it's like its own breed of like I think it's like a subgenre of improv, if I had to guess.
Okay.
Because
Because I
it
was trying
seems
to
like yeah.
differentiate the line. The line is, I feel, very blurry between theater, which is by definition, I feel like a live action role play and then LARPing.
Yeah, I mean, it's
I
similar in
guess
the fact
theater,
that
you do
you're
it for an
taking a
audience.
character, but yeah, you're doing it for an audience. Like, yeah, that's a good point too. LARPers, it's like for them. It's like
It's,
this
like,
is just
only for
yeah,
them.
you like you cross this line, and it is your world. You are this character in this world rather than like playing a character for an audience. I think it's different. I
Mm.
definitely think it's different. Um, but yeah, no, that's a good point. Am I a LARPer? I don't know. Also, yeah,
Am I a
I don't know.
LARPer? I don't know.
I don't know.
Wow. I would love to see something like this. Have you ever seen people in New York City
No, because I feel like
LARPing about?
it's its own little area. Like, I don't think we see you
Well, th
see
I
much.
it looked like they were doing it in the middle of Bryant Park in the episode.
Well, maybe. I don't know. I feel like it's still sectioned off in some capacity, some facet. I don't know,
Maybe.
though. I don't know.
So we see this sweet, little moment with his kids. He's sending them off to the airport to go home, and the youngest son, Nate, who we know is named after Nathaniel, Pietro's middle name, if you've forgotten that.
I
Did
forgot
I
that.
just remind you of something?
You did.
You're welcome.
Thank
So,
you.
Pietro Nathaniel Maximoff.
And is Nathaniel a play off of Natasha at all, or no, that's more just Pietro?
Well, it would have been Natasha if
It was a
oh,
girl.
wait. Maybe wait, I think I'm getting confused. I think his middle name might be Pietro. I think it
I don't
might
know.
be Nathaniel Pietro Barton.
The kid kind of annoys me, so I don't even really care that much. No, he doesn't annoy me, but it's like it's one of those things like Home Alone where it's just like, just stay with the group, please. Because that moment where he's like at the, they're like, where's Nate? Where's Nate? No, but that moment though with the sign language was very
Yes,
cute and
that is
very
what I'm
They're
talking about.
very moving. I did very much enjoy that. But everything before that, I was like, this little kid, he's like a little pain in the butt, but like he's cute. He's cute. I like him.
Yes,
Yeah,
I'm so
I
sorry.
just did a full 180 on him in
I
less than
was
30 seconds.
confused, had my wires crossed.
Okay,
So, Nate's named after Pietro because his full name is Nathaniel Pietro Barton.
interesting.
And the name is Nate because it's a play off of Natasha. You're
Oh,
very
okay.
right.
Cool,
I'm
cool.
like, Nathaniel Maximoff just does not sound right. Like,
Yeah,
that just I was very confused. I apologize. Please don't chew me out for that one,
yeah,
internet.
yeah. It's
Okay.
fine. You'll make up for it when you name your child Pietro. It'll be fine.
I mean, we'll see. I don't know. Okay, so we cut to scene 5 where Kate Clint is walking Kate to her job because she's telling him he tells her that she just has to like live her life as normal.
Yeah,
Um and they have this really deep conversation where Kate is trying to convince Clint that his like lifestyle is kind of all about branding and that he's got to be able to sell
yeah.
himself, and Clint's like, well, I'm not really trying to sell anything. And she's like, but you are, and you don't even know it because you're selling inspiration. Like you inspired me when I was a very young girl to take up, having a bow and arrow and all this. And this is when we get that moment of them walking through Times Square. They see, people dressed as superheroes. The little kid runs by and is like, oh my gosh, a superhero, runs right past Clint to go take a picture with someone dressed up as Ant-Man.
That is like if we ever did like a top 10 pet peeves, those people, I'm sure they're all lovely people, but like walking, trying, it's not the people themselves, but trying to walk through Times Square with those people, like trying to just like get a picture with you. It's like Times Square in general is like pet peeve number one because like living in New York for enough
Yeah.
time, you become less of a tourist and realize how much of a shit show Times Square really is. Just the amount of people there, it's not pleasant. So many people running around, and I'm a big Disney World purist, seeing Mickey Mouse, people taking their heads off and ruining the whole illusion that Mickey Mouse is real until you're like 11 years old. Like that to me bugs me. But whatever. It was a fun moment still in the episode. But it did remind me. I was like, wow, I hate that.
I just thought it was so interesting that, like, Katniss Everdeen, like, exists in the MCU now. Like, that
Yeah, true. Huh.
you know what I mean? I was like, "Ooh, that kinda, like, took me out of the MCU for a second." Like, I feel like worlds are colliding at this point,
Yeah,
but
maybe.
I did like how they had that because she is one of I would say she is probably the most famous archer in cinema,
Hmm.
and then Hawkeye is, like, a very close second. So,
Yeah.
it was kinda fun that
Um.
they included her in this.
Well, you're not a Lord of the Rings person. I was gonna say Legolas is probably number one from Lord of the Rings.
Okay.
And then I would say Hawkeye before Katniss, just because I feel like MCU is a bigger franchise right now than Hunger Games. I feel like Hunger Games was big for like us because it was right at the sweet spot of us in like middle school, high school. Like, but I feel like anyone like 5 years older than us and 5 years younger than us doesn't have the same Katniss appreciation. But I might be
Well,
wrong.
she's also, like, the main character of that franchise, which is why
Very.
I think that she
That's a
might be
good
more
point too.
popular than Hawkeye.
True. That's a good point. Yeah. No, no, you sold me. Yeah.
So then once she actually gets to work, she works at her mother and I'm assuming what, her mother and father's,
Hmm.
security company. When she gets to work, she agrees to have dinner with her mother and Jack just so they can, hash out their differences. And she says, "There's just one catch. I am going to choose the topic of conversations." And I just thought that is just she's
Power
just
move.
so snarky. I love
Yeah.
this
I
girl.
love it. Yeah. I love it.
So now we have reached the scene of the LARP. We are at the LARP in what I assume is like Central Park or Bryant Park,
Yeah.
something like that. And Clint has to, in order to engage with the person that has stole the Ronin costume from him, he has to sign up for the LARP and go in. He's just clearly, probably the most athletic, the most trained in combat there.
I have a
And
question. Did the
yes.
guy who steal the coat or the outfit, uniform, whatever, costume, there we go, I found the word. Is he a firefighter who was, like, on the scene, or, like, do you
Yeah.
think a firefighter? Okay, okay. I wasn't sure because I
No, yeah,
saw,
because
yeah.
when he's trying to get in, the girl's like, "Listen, I know who you are, but, like, most people in there are firemen and cops." So, like,
Oh, yep, that went over my head. There you go.
yeah, that's
Yeah,
the only reason why I knew that he was a
yeah,
fireman.
that makes sense.
So,
Grill
yeah,
grills.
grills. So he finally gets to him and it's like, "Listen, I'm gonna need that suit back." And he's like, "I'll give you the suit as long as you let me kill you." And I just love this moment he has under just like to himself under his breath. He goes, "And I fought Thanos." Like, this is what
Yeah,
I'm doing now. Like, my life,
yeah,
like,
that's
a
good.
few months ago was me going to different planets trying to, like, fight this Titan, this alien life form, and now this is what I'm doing. I'm letting someone pretend kill me, just so I can have
Right.
my property back. Um, so they engage in this mortal combat, whatever. Clint is just like, "Do it, dude, like take your swing," and he's able to get the costume back from Grills. Then we cut back to Kate at work. She gets a call from a detective who says that they're looking into the fire that was, destroyed her apartment, being that it was kind of weird that a fire happened in her apartment. She didn't alert any authorities. She didn't
Mhm.
try to contact the police or
Yeah.
anyone. She just kind
Mhm.
of went about her day. And they want to talk to her tomorrow morning. They've set up a meeting for tomorrow morning, which I don't think she's going to make it to, being that we know how this episode ends.
Right.
So then we see, oh yeah, the Clint and the guy fight. He gets a suit. Um so then Kate spends this whole dinner with her mom and Jack just trying to like suss him out and she ends up challenging him to a fencing match.
It's
Uh
crazy. Like, I'm
so
just
they go
imagining, like, meeting, like, a family member's, like, new person, I guess is the
yeah.
best way to say it, like, if, like, my brother brought home, like, a girl, or, like, Nina brought home a guy, like, just seeing, like, him and just being like, "I wanna challenge you to a fucking duel." Like, that is nuts, like, how
I honestly feel
crazy.
like things happen like that all the time, not
I
necessarily with
know.
fencing, but
It's
if you
weird.
just like you find out like someone's really good at something, like, oh, I'd love to like, take you on in that, like whatever. It could be,
Oh, man, yeah.
I don't
I'd be
know.
scared. If I was in that position, I was just like, "Yeah, no, I play piano, I sing," and they're like, "Oh, let's sing together." It's like, "Yo, dude."
Yeah, yeah, it's literally something
I
as
hate
simple
that.
as that, like, that's
Yeah,
exactly what it is, it's just fencing.
right.
So they go a few rounds in fencing where she realizes that, he's letting her win, he's not letting off that he's trying to let off that he's not as good as he actually is, and then right at the very end, she actually tries to go for a swing at his face, and he's able to block her without even missing a beat, and she's like, "Look, mom, the guy is obviously lying to us. He's keeping things secret from us. He's a sketchy dude. He lied about how good he was at fencing. I just proved that right then and there." Um, And then her and her mom get into this whole discussion about how Armand, we find out in this scene, because I don't think this was known before, again, could have just totally missed it, that Armand was killed by sword. So now we know that the Ronin sword is out there. It's in Jack's possession, last time we saw. And now Armand, his uncle, who is just threatening the mother in the last episode, has now died by sword. So
Uh,
Kate is
who drops that news? Who says that he died by sword? Is it
Kate.
Kate? Okay, good. I was just wondering. Yeah,
It might have been on the news, like,
probably.
broadcast.
Well, because also the way he's when you see the blood splatter, it does look like it's this one area of his body, and then it kind of like
Yeah,
seeps out. So like it does look like a stab wound, rather than a gunshot, which I feel would go more like circular. It looks more like
yeah.
a I don't know, but I'm not a forensic scientist, so I don't know. Never will
Thank
be.
you for pointing that out, Jill. I wouldn't have known if you didn't tell me that you
Yeah,
were
no, I
not
know
a
a lot of people
forensic
think I am, but I'm
scientist.
not. Yeah, yeah,
The rumors are not true,
not
people.
true.
Dill is
Please,
not a forensic
fake
scientist.
fake
Please stop
news.
saying that about him.
Fake news. I'm not a forensic scientist.
Oh my god.
Oy.
And the nail in the coffin is that right at the end of the scene, Jack offers Kate a butterscotch from Armand's apartment. I rest my case. It's not look things are not looking
They're
good for Jack.
related though, so maybe he just has some butterscotch. I don't know. We'll talk about it because I have a theory.
I can't wait to hear it. I'm sitting
Hmm.
at the edge of my seat, but we do have to talk about this last scene.
We do.
So,
Big scene.
Clint meets up with the tracksuit mafia. They kidnap him, as one does, take him to a warehouse. Um, and we hear one of them say, as they're dragging him into the van, she wants him alive. So I'm like, ooh, a woman at the helm of this tracksuit mafia? This is gonna be great. And can I just say, I love the tracksuit mafia.
Yeah,
They
they're
are a
funny.
funny bunch.
They're funny.
They're great.
Yeah,
Uh,
way funnier than like sorry, like our R.I.P. Whatever her name was from Falcon and Winter Soldier. What's her name? Oh my God, Harley
Carly
Morgenthau. But like,
Morgenthau.
yeah, but Morgenthau or whatever. But like
Oh yeah, yeah,
way
yeah.
better than those people. Like way
I
more
mean, the
entertaining than
Flag
the what are
Smashers.
Flag Smashers. That's who it was. Yeah, this is
Well,
just a fun, more fun bunch.
yeah, a cartoonish bunch to say the least. But
Yeah,
I'm buying it, so it doesn't matter. So then Kate tries to call Clint with the news that she's collected some clues, damning Jack as guilty, and he doesn't answer his phone. What someone on the Tracksuit Mafia does, and this is where we see her numbers, her passcode or
that's it.
username or whatever it is. We can talk about that right at the end with Easter eggs.
Yeah,
But she's able to track his location by using her fancy security system company, and she's able to find where Clint is. She smashes down from the ceiling to save the day, but she ends up hand tied and captured just as Clint was seconds ago.
yeah,
And then we see I just wrote this down. It was so funny. So she falls through the roof just as they're asking, "Where's Kate Bishop? Where's Kate Bishop?" And one of them goes, "Bro, I found her,"
yeah.
without
Hilarious,
missing a beat.
hilarious, hilarious.
So good. And then our last shot is of who I'm assuming is at the helm of the tracksuit mafia, a woman who is told that they have them. They have both of
Hmm.
them in custody. So,
And did you notice when she was told he was signing to her because she is deaf?
oh my god, I didn't notice
Mhm.
that.
Yeah, yeah. He, like, kinda does a little signing to her, and, like, he's, like,
Mm.
mouthing it out so he can read the 'cause at first, you also see her hand is on the, like, vibration of the music, she's feeling the speaker to feel the
Mm.
music, so, yeah, because most people have figured out by now that is Echo, who, if you watch the Disney Plus, tease on Disney Plus of all the new Marvel shows coming out, there was a big thing for Echo, the new Disney Plus series, and everyone's like, "Who the hell is Echo?" And everyone's like, "Oh, you'll meet her in Hawkeye." Well, here she is, and she's here.
Oh,
Maya Lopez, aka Echo, played
how
by
fun.
Alakwa Cox. And I have some news on her. I don't know if you looked into her, but I have
No, I
one
I
little
didn't know who
tidbit
this
about
person was.
a few tidbits about her. She is deaf, which is big. Because also we're getting a lot with Hawkeye and his hearing and his disability now.
Mhm.
So I think that's going to be an interesting dynamic. Deaf villain, deaf hero. If she's even a villain, she might be one of those like Carly Morgenthau, like misunderstood anti-heroes.
Mm.
And her father is a soldier for Kingpin. Now, if you've seen, the Netflix shows before the MCU started doing TV, Kingpin's a big villain there. Also saw the animated version of Kingpin in Spider-Man and the Spider-Verse. So maybe that's a tease that he's coming. Maybe not in the series, but maybe she's gonna, he'll be there in her series because we know she's getting a series called Echo. Whether that's a prequel or whether that's a sequel to this, I do not know. But at first, who I thought it was going to be was Yelena. I thought it was going to be Yelena because we know she's coming at some point because of the end of
Oh.
Black Widow. So I was like, oh,
Mhm.
Yelena's coming, but then it was Echo. But I'm still very happy to see her. Just happy to learn more about her. I didn't look too far into her except for the Kingpin thing and the
Mm.
deafness thing, but and the
Cool.
fact that she's getting her own series. But yeah, that's going to be interesting for sure.
No, yeah,
Yeah,
100%. I had 2 Easter eggs from this episode
yeah.
that we'll talk about right before you get into your theory that I'm so excited to hear. So when we're in the aunt's apartment, I saw a big old movie poster for a movie titled Creature of the Dark Galaxy, and I had to look into this.
Hmm.
So, um, the aunt's name that we see from not only the movie poster, because her name is on the movie poster,
Oh, she's an
um,
actress.
she is
Oh,
an actress, it seems.
that's interesting. I didn't think
And
that.
we also see this name on, like, the list of on the buzzer to get into the apartment. Her name is Myra Brandon, but it's spelt like Moira, but I
Mhm.
don't know if it's pronounced like Moira Rose from
I don't know.
Schitt's Creek.
I don't
Could
know.
just be Moira. I'm not sure. But this is Kate's aunt, who in the comics is a movie star, that sells her mansion to Hawkeye in the comics. This whole Kate's whole storyline actually takes place in Los Angeles in the comics. So, Kate her aunt actually sells the mansion to Hawkeye so that they can have a headquarters on the West Coast. So that is the storyline with this aunt. Maybe she'll come into play and be a little helpful. Although if
Yeah,
she's in Florida for the winter, maybe not so much.
yeah.
And then my other Easter egg was the numbers on Kate's phone that you pointed out earlier,
That I
Jill.
spoiled because I'm an idiot, yeah.
So it says Bishop 11/2012, and a lot of people are associating this with November 2012, and in November 2012, Hawkeye Volume 4, Number 2 came out, and this, uh, comic marked the first appearance of Lucky the pizza dog.
Oh, so there we go. The name of the pizza dog is Lucky, the one I said I wouldn't spoil, but Kelsey just did. It's
Sorry.
okay. No, because we don't know if it's gonna actually if they're gonna keep the name Lucky or not. But yeah, Lucky the pizza dog, such a sweet little fella, played
Yeah,
by a sweet little angel.
sweet little
Uh,
lass.
I'm so excited. So my theory,
Lay it on me.
I 100% think this mom is up to something bad because she is sketchy as fuck. All right, you don't
Yeah.
just get okay. For reason number one, you don't just get
'Kay.
Vera Farmiga to play a mom. She's got to have some ulterior motive because you got Vera Farmiga. She's a big time actress. She's not gonna waste her time on a nothing role. B, they are setting Jack up to be so sketchy, but like we never saw where when he put the sword in his lapel, we never saw between that and Armand's death, assuming that is the sword that killed him. We
Mhm.
don't know, what happened between them. Is he? I still think he's in on something bad, but I don't think he's the brains of the operation. If anything, he's a puppet to her. I very much see him as the Kronk to her Yzma, and
Mm.
I just think I really see her being the one to be like, "You got the sword, right?" And like he was because he was trying to outbid Armand. I bet she was like, "Get that sword. We're gonna kill Armand." But he bought the sword and perfect. Oh, it just happens to be this big explosion. Maybe that's a coinky dink. I don't know. But like big old explosion. He somehow gets a sword. Next scene, Armand's dead by a sword. Huh. But is that
Mm.
Jack or is that her? Because who was having an argument with Armand when Haley Steinfeld was lurking around the corner of the mansion? Oh, it was her who was telling him off
Mm.
and getting all pissed and said, "Why are you lurking around? Please don't do that." And she looked very scared. Also, we never saw the dad die. We saw his funeral and we saw the explosion of the house, but we didn't see point A to point B. Why did where was mom when she was running, when the little girl was running around going, "Mommy, Daddy, I don't know what I'm doing." And then she comes out of nowhere. She's like, "Oh yeah, let's go, let's go, let's go." She's like, "Where's Daddy?" She didn't answer the question. And the next shot we get is the funeral. Maybe she killed Dad, or maybe just maybe Dad is still alive. And she framed it
Mm.
and said, "You know what? Like, this is finally my chance to take Kate and get away and pull off my master plan." I just don't trust this bitch at all. And I'm ready to be proven wrong because I think it's a more predictable, I think it's pretty predictable if like the mom's behind it, just because like Jack or her, like they're the two sketchy people in this whole thing, especially the fencing thing. Like, if your boyfriend was gonna, or your fiance was gonna fight your daughter in fencing, like I feel like you'd be a little less laissez-faire about it.
Mm.
Just my perception. If my kid wanted to fight my new spouse, I'd probably be like, maybe not. This is not the best idea. I just don't trust her. I don't trust her. I think she's behind some stuff. I don't know if she's behind the red. What do you call it? The sweatshirt gang. What do you call it?
Tracksuit Mafia.
Tracksuit mafia.
You were really
Sweatsuit.
close with Sweatsuit Gang, though. That might be their arch nemesis on the other side of they're the West Side,
Yeah,
Tracksuit
I
Mafia,
don't know
East
if
Side
she's
Sweatsuit.
behind. I don't know if she's behind that. But they did happen to come in at a really opportune time with that watch, to steal that watch when
Mm.
all the comeuppance with the auction was happening, and that Jack happened to get that sword. I think Jack is bad, but I think he's working for a bigger bad, and I think that is the mom. So that's my theory. What are your thoughts on that? Were you sketched out at all? Did you have any inkling that she could be up to no good? Or
Honestly, I wasn't sketched out at all,
okay,
but maybe that's just because I wasn't paying attention. I mean, I definitely think that the moment where Kate was like, "Is that guy threatening you?" And she was like, "I have no idea." Like, I definitely think that she was lying in that moment and she was, letting
yeah,
off that she
yeah.
knew less than she does. But I think you've convinced me, Dill. I really think that you're onto something here.
And
I think
keep
we
in
might have
mind,
cracked the code
she
really early
bought
on.
her she bought her 10-year-old a bow and arrow. That is sociopathic. But
Well, she wanted
well,
Kate to be the best at everything.
yeah, because she wants her to be an assassin. I mean, I think she's trying to groom Kate to be part of. I think that's the end goal. Is she's going to be like, "Listen, Kate, here's our motive." Because already the hacking into people's locations is sketchy as is.
Mm.
So like I just feel like she's up to no good. I'm ready to be proven wrong for a more interesting turn, but like that's where I'm thinking right now. I don't know.
No, I think you're on the right track. I think you're
Yeah.
really onto something.
It was Agatha all along. It was Vera all along. Maybe we'll get
Oh
another
god.
song. Oh my god, imagine if like they're going to see a production of Scott, what is it called? Scott the Musical or something like that? Rogers the
What are you
Musical?
Ro
I'm thinking of
Scott?
Ant-Man. I'm thinking of
Who is
Ant-Man, sorry.
Scott?
I'm thinking of, because I have in my notes Ant-Man in the Rogers Musical, so I just put Scott in my brain. The
Rogers
Rogers
Musical.
Musical, if it happens, and
Yeah.
like just Vera Farmiga stops the show and she's like, "I have a song to sing," and she's like, "It was Mom all along," gets up and sings her number. I'm
That'd
kidding.
be really something else, I
Yeah,
think.
no. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see. I think next, because you watched the Disney Plus thing, right? You watched the little teaser thing with the Hawkeye
On
clip
Disney
where they're, yeah,
on Disney Plus Day with
yeah,
the chase sequence, yeah.
yeah. And I watched that again because we didn't get that scene, and the person driving them, chasing them, is Echo. So I'm wondering. I think we're gonna get that scene in the next episode, which means they're probably gonna
Mm,
break free, which is kind of a given because it's a Marvel show and this is only episode 3. They're gonna break free. Um,
right.
but we're gonna get that next. But I'm wondering if Echo is gonna end up working with them or still being a villain. But I really think mom's up to no good. But that's right now where I'm at, and that will keep me entertained and keep me guessing, like WandaVision did, until proven otherwise. So
Mhm.
that's what's
100%.
keeping me reeled in. So yeah. Overall, I like the episodes. Wasn't in love with them, but I am very much in love with Kate Bishop as a character. I love her
Mhm.
character, which is a really cool addition to the MCU for sure.
I agree.
Yeah. Any other words, Kelsey? I mean, we flew through those. I'm surprised it's only been an hour. I feel like we've been talking so long about them, but it's good to be talking about TV again. That's for sure.
Yeah, that's for sure.
Yeah,
Oh, I'm so excited.
yeah. So let's make a plan to go LARPing, so we can give you the full experience. Give you the first hand. That would actually be a fun episode if we're ever just like,
Should we
no,
LARP? I
I
don't
don't think
know.
so.
I don't think I'd be a good LARPer.
I don't know. I feel like I get way too emotional. Like when you play like those card games like Mafia or like any of those
Mm,
things where you kind of have to role play a little and lie and guess who the killer
yeah,
is. It's like I get way too intense, and I feel like if it was like don't actually hit people. Like I wouldn't hit people, but I'd want to be
mm.
like call people out on their bullshit, and I don't think I could.
Yeah, I'm not good at lying. I don't like a game where it depends on me keeping a secret. I'm
Yeah,
not very good at that. I feel like I have a lot of tells,
right.
and I
Yeah,
get in my head way too much.
me
So I
too.
don't know if I'd be a good LARPer.
Yeah. I mean, it's funny for someone who cannot lie, I act, which is very, very much not the same thing, but like very similar.
Hey,
Like I have to play a
acting's
character.
not lying. It's
I know,
telling
but
the truth.
telling it's someone else's truth. Yeah, no, I agree. But like it's still like, I'm putting on a character, but then when
Right.
I have to lie myself, I can't do it. So
Yeah.
no, which is good for this podcast because you'll always get my honest feedback. I will never just lie and say like this is the best show ever because like WandaVision still has that right now in my heart and Loki close behind. But
Mm.
this could be great. I mean, I'm excited for the Christmas thing. Like I said, the last episode's gonna be him getting home to his family. I'm gonna weep like a little baby, and he's probably gonna bring the dog, and I'm gonna cry. Oh, another question.
Yeah.
The dog was going after the guy with the watch. Do you think the
Mhm.
dog is like just really smart, or do you think the dog is maybe like a goose kind of thing where the dog is not a real dog, or do you
A
think
flarkin?
maybe a flarkin? It sounds very larpy, a flarkin. Um, what do you think about the
I don't
dog?
know. I
Yeah.
thought it was interesting that, the dog was going after the guy with the watch. I feel
Hmm.
like he was trying to stop the robbery in pursuit, but
Hmm.
I think
Maybe
that I'm excited. I think this dog's gonna really come in handy later
Maybe
on.
maybe this is a really crazy theory. This is my last theory, and then we'll end. What if? Because we don't know what happened after Endgame. Steve went back. We saw, but old Steve. What happened to old Steve? Maybe they turned him into a dog. Maybe Doctor Strange said, "You, so you don't have to live as this old man. We are going to turn you into this dog," and he became a dog. Or what if it's Nick Fury as a scroll because he has one eye? Whoa! I figured it out.
But it's not the correct eye.
Oh, you're right. Oh, Kelsey ruined my theory. Oh, it's okay.
I
Maybe the,
debunked it. I didn't
maybe the
ruin
dog
your
is just a
theory.
fucking dog and it's smart and we love him.
I think
Maybe
it's
that's
just
the
a
real
dog.
answer. Yeah, maybe
Sometimes
it's
a
just a dog.
dog is just a dog.
Yeah, and just a dog is all it needs to be because we love dogs. We are big dog fans on this podcast. If you don't like dogs, unsubscribe to us. No, just kidding. Please subscribe to us. With that, I will say subscribe, like, give us a review on this if you like us. Please continue growing. We are continue helping us grow because we are approaching a new year. We are going to start the first ever. Well, I don't know if it's the first ever, but like on my channel at least, the first ever Marvel MCU Trivia League. I already have some competitors ready to play for the first inaugural belt match. And a few faces you've seen on this channel before, maybe some you haven't. I might also have, because Kelsey will be competing in that first belt match, I might need help calling the match. So I might have a friend or two to help me actually ask the question so I'm not just on my own and to keep me honest so I'm not obviously feeding a co-host answers because that's the one thing if I can't do it by myself. I've got to have someone to keep me honest.
Mm.
But yeah, it'll be Kelsey competing for the belt against two other people, and I will be joined by someone else on the desk. And then after that, throughout the season, we will have plenty of other matches to find out who will be competing against that person who has the belt for the belt. It'll be a lot of exciting stuff. But until then, we got Hawkeye coverage. Then we'll have some Spider-Man coverage. I believe the last two episodes of Hawkeye we'll be talking about in their own podcast a week after Spider-Man has happened. So I think next we'll have Hawkeye 3, Hawkeye episode 4, Spider-Man, and then the next two episodes of Hawkeye. And then I think we're done for the year. We're going to take a week off for the new year, settle in, and then we'll be back with some trivia. It'll be a lot of fun. So if you're interested in competing in trivia or you want to like send some suggestions, even help me ask right questions, do not send them to Kelsey though, because she'll be competing. Send them to me if you have any question suggestions to be like, yo, you should ask about this question or this fun factoid about Marvel. I might consider it. Otherwise, my socials are down there. I won't bother spelling them out because you've heard them every day. Kels, where can they find you?
You can find me on Instagram at Kelsey A. Kilpatrick. You can follow me on TikTok at KOZ13, or you can subscribe to my YouTube channel, Cause Productions.
That's right. So yeah, we'll see you guys next week for Hawkeye episode 2. See you guys then.